I'm going to tell you a story. Um, and for this story, I just made myself a cappuccino, which I highly recommend that you do the same so you don't fall asleep. I'm kidding. If you've taken micro or no macroeconomics, yeah, in this, it will be taught in macroeconomics. If you take it in the past, you may remember the story of the guns and butter. Um, Maybe perhaps your professor didn't like to use the term guns. It's okay. They use something else. But originally, this is how it was taught. And actually, it's not a silly thing to pick guns and butter. This was developed during the war, and what it's trying to tell you is these two constraints are one of war and one to support your people, to food in general. So think about those two. So in any economy, now this is going to be a simplification of reality. That's a theory, a simplification of reality, and we're going to call this production possibilities frontier, or PPF. Okay, that's the name of it. All right, I have a little coffee. So Guns and Butter is a story. Think of it as a story, okay? When you are in control of the economy and you must produce two products, but you don't know uh, how many of each you should produce, how many you can produce, and how many you should produce. Um, so I'm going to build a very simple chart here. Just bear with me for a second. Okay. Now here comes the difficult part. Let's see how well I do. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, that is pretty horrible. Uh, but I'm a great cheater, so come on, stay right there. There you go. Okay, that's too much. Let's say that this is guns, production of guns. This is the production of butter. And this line here, this represents uh, the production, all the possible combinations of the production of both guns and butter, assuming the guns and butter are the only two things available or your only two possibilities. Now, assume that you build zero guns and you focus your entire production, so every individual in your economy is focused on making butter. You could make that amount of butter. Let me put something in there. Let's see, how am I going to do this one? All right, I'll do this. Nah, I don't like that. That's going to be a problem later. So I'll just write. Okay. Um, hmm, let's say it's 1,000. That's fine. Okay. That's the point right there. The point where this line hits the x-axis. And then let's say that up here we have points such as, let's see, for example, okay, of course you have to, there you go. This point right here represents a production of 0 butter and all guns. In this case, it would be 500. So if you manage to force everybody in your economy to make just guns, they'll be able to achieve this point. Okay. Now, there's nothing really interesting about those 2 points. What's interesting is what goes on at other points. So let's pick this point right here. Whatever that is, doesn't matter. I don't care the amount. Can you force your economy into making this many guns and this many butter? The answer is obviously no, you can't. You can't, because as you can see, even when you force your entire population to make butter, you can only make this much. You can't make that much. And that much will be represented by a line. Let me just put a line there. I'll have to delete it. Okay, I'll delete it afterwards. But okay. As you can see, that's a little bit more than this point. And well, my skill here is failing me a little bit, but it doesn't matter. You obviously cannot make that much. I mean, a point like that is what? It says 580 guns, something like that. Where did I get the negative? Oh, because it's in parentheses. It's using mathematics. It's using accounting formatting. Oh God. Okay, fine. There you go. Okay. See, that point cannot be achieved. It's unobtainable. You cannot get to that production. It's far more butter that you could produce if you dedicated yourself only to butter. And if you compare it to what happens when you focus only on guns, there's no way. That's a 4. There's no way you can produce that much butter by just losing a few guns. It's just beyond your possibility frontier. Therefore, this is not obtainable. Okay? You cannot achieve that. Right. Now, what about a point like this point here? Can you achieve that point? Sure, you can. Let me put it somewhere here. A point like that represents somewhere in the middle, yeah. Represents somewhere in between your maximum production of butter if you dedicate yourself to butter and the maximum production of guns if you dedicate yourself to guns. So yes, you can achieve this point, but is it optimal? You could put a line there. You could move production to a point such as this point right here on the frontier, where you'll be producing more of each. So yes, this is obtainable, but it's not optimal. This is optimal. You can do better than this. You can do this. Can you do better than this? No, you cannot. Again, that will be the first example. You cannot produce beyond your possibilities. You could produce at a different point in the curve. You could produce that, or you could produce that. All of those will be optimal, as you can see. Okay? Now, we're going to see this later on in linear programming.